we want to talk about Pesach, and we're not going to talk about matzot or cleaning. We want to talk about more of a deeper meaning behind Pesach that is more connected to my personal life. When we learn Torah, it's very important to know how to connect it to my personal life, to my spiritual growth, and to my avodat Hashem. Because just to learn the Torah and to follow the mitzvot, that's very nice. But I want to know how the Torah practically teaches me to grow. And what is the Torah teaching me? And there's a lot of details in the Torah that one can say has nothing to do with me. And what is that part of the Torah or holiday got to do with my own personal life? And unfortunately, we all deal with many issues in our private life that usually will cause me to go away from the Torah and the mitzvot. And in theory, that only works in theory. But in theory, people say, oh, if I had a lot of money and I didn't have worries and everything would be good, I will learn Torah and I will do the mitzvot. But that only works in theory. Because A, doesn't mean that your if will ever happen. And more than that, I know many people that they're comfortable physically and it still doesn't make them follow the Torah. But more than that, we tend to find ourselves in many personal situations that unfortunately, the reality right now in our generation is that everybody is dealing with a challenge. And the reality is that each and every one of us is dealing with a bundle of challenges. And not too long ago, when I mentioned this fact, then somebody said from the crowd, a challenge? They come in dozens. When a challenge comes, then they come in waves. And we all have challenges. We have challenges with our finance, with our marital status, with relationships, with health, with my own self-growth. Everybody has challenges. If you think you're the only one, then you're not. Everybody's dealing with something, and most people are dealing with at least 20 things. Like I mentioned here, I was here, if I remember, when was it? Last July? Last July. And I mentioned that, Baruch Hashem, we get in my system thousands of emails every day. Baruch Hashem, with a very big exposure online, then we have a center, a system, and I literally sometimes we get 2,000-3,000 emails a day. And I never ever got one email that said everything is fine. All the emails are just disasters. That I don't know what. I have to start fundraising for tissues just to give the girls that are reading the emails just to all day long with all the sobbing stories. And I never got an email saying, listen, Rabbi Anava, I just wanted to let you know everything is good. So I said this exact same thing here. When I was here in July, there was a lady, I remember she sat over there. She emailed me a day later. She was like, I wanted to tell you everything is good. So the sad reality is that we all face very severe challenges. And some people just take it a little bit with the right proportion, but the sad reality is that we all face challenges. Comes the Torah, and it tells me besides following the Torah, doing the mitzvot, learning Torah, that's very good, but the Torah has the best advice for everything. And in the Torah, there's also all the hidden secrets, what I need to know in order to better my life. At the end of the day, Hashem is not looking to torture me. Hashem is not looking to put me through hell. Rather, Hashem says, I want you to refine yourself. I want you to grow. Comes the holiday of Pesach and has a lot of deep meanings in it. I mean, most people, you'll tell them the holiday of Pesach, they're like, oh, Pesach, that's cleaning for a month. And going on a diet for a week. And I can't eat food. And it's an annoying holiday because I have to clean the whole house. And then the Leil Seder is like a 5-hour ritual that you can go crazy from boredom. and I mean that's not what I'm saying, it's what people say. People don't find Pesach such an interesting holiday. They say, okay, Purim's a good one, a lot of treats, a lot of alcohol, parties. Maybe Chanukah, you get all the donuts. Pesach is a hard holiday. But behind the holiday of Pesach is a lot of deeper meanings. And if I know how to prepare myself the right way for the holiday, then I can achieve a lot. And really that's why the holidays they come. They come to prepare me to the next level. And really, we're all seeking the same thing. We all want to be happy. We all want a happier life. And we want to know how to achieve it. Deep down inside, maybe a lot of people on the external part, they pretend they're happy. And when they're sitting in a group of people or in a party or whatever, then there's a lot of fake smiles. But deep down inside, at the end of the night, when the light is closed and the pillow and the cover is over my head, and when I have to deal with my own life, then that's when this sadness or emptiness or void in my life comes up. And the reality is that, and again, I'm not saying chas v'shalom to put anybody on the spot, but most people are not happy. And we want to know how I can be happy. I want to be happy in this world. We are creatures that are designed to go after pleasure and happiness. That's how it is. That's what Hashem wants us to do. And I will constantly go after whatever gives me pleasure. Unfortunately, we're very misguided, so I think what's going to give me pleasure is material things, or another vacation, or a nicer car, or whatever it is, which I don't understand that's not going to give me physical pleasure. It will give me a taste. But the real pleasure, the real happiness is coming from within. And I want to know how I can become happy. I want to have a much more smoother life. Now comes another factor in my life that everybody suffers from. And if you won't nod your head right now, or you don't quietly agree with me, then this is called denial. But everybody has fears. One person has a fear, how am I going to pay my rent? Another one has a fear, how am I going to overcome my sickness? Another person has a fear, will I ever find my other half? Everybody has fears. We all have fears. They might not come out in such an obvious way, but we're all afraid of something. Very few people are not afraid of anything. And not afraid of challenges, not afraid of failure, not afraid of nothing. That's very few people. Most people are afraid. Now sometimes it goes so much out of hand that it's already affecting the person with actual anxieties and fear and phobias and nightmares and being worried. But the reality is that every person is afraid of something. And I'm not talking about being afraid of a cockroach. I'm being afraid of a challenge. And everybody meets those fears. And again, you concentrate on them when you're focusing on the problem itself. But unfortunately, we all have some type of a fear. And again, when it's in front of a lot of people, then I pretend. We're very good with pretending. We're very good in putting on a show and that everything is fine till I break down. But I want to know how I can live a life of certainty. That I'm not afraid of everything. I'm 100% confident. I have emunah. I'm sure that whatever Hashem wants to happen, that's what's going to happen. And comes this beautiful holiday, and the holiday is preparing me for many things. The general idea of Pesach is going from slavery into freedom. And the slavery is that not necessarily carrying bricks. We're all slaves in one way or another. Some people are a slave to their business, and they're there for 18 hours a day. And some people are slaves to their phone, and they tap the phone all day long, and they make sure the phone is clean, and they charge it all the time, that he's not going to be by himself, and they make sure that the phone is never lonely, never asleep on it. And so some people are slaves to the car. They make sure also they're making it feel nice all the time, in the car wash. But we're slaves to many, many things. We just don't notice it. But we are slaves. And I don't want to be a slave to anything. And the slavery that we're referring to In our generation, it doesn't called slavery. In our generation, it's called addiction. And it's just the same idea in a different way. Some people, it comes out in severe things, that it can be an addiction to drugs or alcohol or pills or gambling or whatever it is. And some people, the addiction is not so bad. It's for just 7 cups of coffee or to that 17th bar of chocolate that I can't function if I don't have that chocolate right away. And we all have all these addictions. And I'm not going to get again to the phone. That's another big addiction. Something's going on with the fingers, it has to constantly touch something. Now there's another machala, another disease called Facebook. Everybody's all day long, and I don't even know what people lost there. Such nonsense. Go in, post your picture, say hello, and go out. People are like parked there for 3 hours. Now, what did you lose there? It's the same posts over and over. And like as if something's going to change. So I know the word addiction is not a nice word. People don't like when you tell them you are addicted. No, I'm not addicted to anything. So try to go for a week without your phone. We'll see if what will be the definition of addiction. But nevertheless, we're not going to call it addiction, so we're not going to sound so harsh. Rather, we'll call it slavery. And this is the slavery that we're all under. And this holiday is the power and the essence of how I break out of slavery. When you're thinking about it, why are we celebrating Pesach? Ask now any average individual why you're celebrating Pesach. They'll tell you because we went out of Mitzrayim 3,400 years ago. Which is true, but we're really celebrating Pesach because at that moment that we went out of Mitzrayim, a very special godly light came down to the world and permeated the power for all generations that any person that is stuck in a Mitzrayim can go out of Mitzrayim. And Mitzrayim is not a country south of Israel. Mitzrayim is a state. Mitzrayim comes from the word in Hebrew, meitzar, something that puts me in a limit. And I need to go out of my limitations. That's kind of the name of the game. Hashem puts a limitation on me, and he says, okay, now let's see you overpower it. And when you overpower it, then we'll be waiting another limitation. You're not getting rid of it. But the point is, it's like working out in a gym. You start in the gym, then you push 20 pounds, then you go to 20 pounds, then you go to 40 pounds, and you grow. Everything in life, you want to grow. You don't want to stand in the same spot. So going out of Mitzrayim is going out of my limitation. That's why our sages say, "B'chol dor v'dor chayav adam lirot atzmo kilu yatsa miMitzrayim." Every generation, a person has to see himself like he went out of Mitzrayim. And again, not going out of the country, going out of my state of limitation. And Baratanya adds on that, and he says, don't say every generation, every day a person has to see himself like he went out of his limitation. So this is the general idea of the holiday of Pesach, but there's also more hidden meanings. Now, before Pesach, let's just a little bit go into history. If you remember, before Pesach we got 2 mitzvot. And these are the first 2 mitzvot that we got as a nation. Because the first mitzvot that we got can be found in the book of Bereshit, and there's only 3 mitzvot that we got there. The first one is to be pruvu, to multiply, to have a family, to have kids. This is the first commandment that Adam and Chava got. Then came another mitzvah that Avraham Avinu got, is to circumcise every child that is born after 8 days. And then we got another mitzvah that is called Gid HaNashah. Gid HaNashah, that we're not allowed to eat a certain tendon in the leg. If you remember after the fight with Yaakov. So this is a mitzvot that we can find in the book of Bereshit. And we're not talking about the mitzvot that Noach got before the flood that are called the 7 laws of Noach. We're referring to the mitzvot that has to do with our specific nation. Because we know there were 6 mitzvot that were given before the flood. And the 7th mitzvah was given after the flood. These are called the 7 laws of Noach. But these are general laws for everybody. For the entire world, entire mankind. Yeah, I'm talking about these 3 mitzvot that are specifically were given to us as a nation. But then comes the book of Bereshit, or book of Shmot, and in Parashat Bo, we're getting another 2 mitzvot that are really the first 2 mitzvot that we got as a nation. And these are the mitzvot that we got right before Pesach, The first one is Kiddush HaChodesh, is sanctifying the month, and the second one is Korban Pesach, is the sacrifice of Pesach. These are the two mitzvot that we got. Now, in these two mitzvot, this Friday, this Shabbat, is Rosh Chodesh Nisan. This is where it all starts. So we really have a good week now to digest what we're going to talk about tonight, so I can start preparing and applying it. But when you're looking at the mitzvah of Rosh Chodesh, it says, "Chodesh hazeh lachem." This is the mitzvah that we got as a nation, that we have to sanctify the month. Now, Shabbat, yesterday, after Kriyat Torah, we mentioned in all communities, we did Kiddush HaChodesh, that we're mentioning when is going to be the Molad, when is going to be the birth of the month, and we call it Shabbat Mevarchim, when we're blessing the month. We're announcing the birth of the month. And B'ezrat Hashem, this Shabbat, we're going to celebrate Rosh Chodesh. This mitzvah, very quickly, just to summarize the actual mitzvah, then at the time when they had Bet HaMikdash, there was a Sanhedrin, there was a court, a Supreme Court, and the way it worked is two witnesses had to come to the court and testify that they saw the moon. And if two kosher witnesses would come, the judges would interrogate them. Once they find out that they're kosher, they would sanctify the month. Right away they would send messengers. There's different eras, how it happened. In the beginning they used to light bonfires. Then came a group of people that they used to be going against the Jewish court. So they used to light bonfires all the time, and they used to confuse them. So they started sending messengers. Anyways, no need to go to all the history of what happened here. But this was the mitzvah, how they used to sanctify the month. Ironically, they didn't need that. They knew how to calculate the calendars even then. Exactly like we do now. We don't sanctify the month with the moon with the witnesses. We have a calendar, and we know how to do the calculations. Very, very hard calculation. Not a lot of people know how to do it, but nevertheless, even then they knew how to do it. But still, they used the witnesses, the system, how to sanctify the month, and that's how they used to do Lekadesh et HaChodesh, to sanctify the month and decide when will be Rosh Chodesh. Which has a lot of more deeper meaning into it, a very special mitzvah. But comes another mitzvah that we got right before Pesach. This is a mitzvah that unfortunately we don't do. B'ezrat Hashem, maybe this year Mashiach will be here, we'll already do it. And this is Korban Pesach. This is a certain sacrifice that we only do on Pesach. And this, the first time it was ever given, it was a very unique mitzvah. First of all, if we go again by the history of the mitzvah, it came in 4 stages, 4 dates. The first date was Aleph Nisan, the first day of Nisan, when they got commanded of this mitzvah. Then, the 10th of Nisan, they were required to take a sheep or a goat and to tie it to the bed for 4 days. And just imagine their houses full of sheep. They're going to sleep. A sheep is there, eating from the straw from their pillow. But nevertheless, on the 10th of Nisan, they had to take the sheep or the goat and tie it to the bed. Then on the 14th day of Nisan, they had to sacrifice it. And on the 15th day of Nisan, they ate it. And that was the order, the first time how they did this mitzvah. And on the 15th day of Nisan, Netzach Hama, right away they pack the bags and they leave. That was the order. Now, these 4 dates, Aleph Nisan, Yud Nisan, Yudalid Nisan, and Tedvav Nisan, in English, the 1st, the 10th, the 14th, the 15th, there's a reason for that. There's a significance why these 4 dates. First, there is a argument in the Talmud in regards to when was the world created. Ask now an average Jew, what is the first month of the year? What will they tell you? Tishrei. Right? You all answer Tishrei. Wrong. It's not the first month, it's the 7th month. Nisan is the first month. And this is even clearly in the Torah, it says about Tishrei that it's the 7th month. And Nisan is called, it says very clearly, this is the first month. There is an argument in the Talmud between Rabbi Yoshua and Rabbi Eliezer. Rabbi Eliezer says that the world was created on Nisan, and on Tishrei, and Rabbi Yeshua says no, the world was created on Nisan. Two arguments between two sages when the world was created. Really, there wasn't a mechloket at all. The Arizal says both of them are right. How come they're both right? Because the physical world was created in Tishrei, but the neshama of the world was only given in Nisan. So for half a year the world was existing, but without a neshama, without a spiritual power that enlivened the world. So both are right. The world was created in Tishrei, but the birthday, so to say, the real, also you can ask the same question. When is the baby born? When is the baby, so to say, created? In the birth date or in the date that is being conceived? One can tell you, no, the real birthday is when he's conceived. When you want to go and calculate based, on the dates of the child, it's more accurate to know information about the neshama by the date that the child was conceived, not the date that he was born. Most of the world, when it comes to astrology and signs, they go by the date that the child was born. The Zohar explains, no, if you know the night that the child was conceived, you'll get much more detailed information about the neshama. But nevertheless, the world was created on Tishrei, and on Nisan came the neshama. This comes to teach us something that most people don't pay attention to, but you know that on Zayin Nisan is the first Shabbat that was ever celebrated. So that's technically when you're thinking, that's when the time that the world got its neshama. But nevertheless, we see that the importance of this Korban Pesach, that first of all, on the first time it was ever sacrificed, it will never repeat the same. Even after that, when they continued doing this Korban, the sacrifice, it wasn't like the first year. Because in the first year, they actually already were commanded on the first. They took it on the 10th. And years after that, they didn't have to do it. They just took it on the 14th and sacrificed it. And needless to say, that on the night between the 14th and the 15th was the first Leil Seder that was ever done in history. They did Leil Seder. Al matzot umerorim tochelo. That's exactly what we're doing now. That's what they did the first night. And in the morning, of course, they packed the bags and they left. What's interesting here is that this Korban, even later on, at the time of Beit HaMikdash, it only had 4.5 hours to sacrifice it. It can only be done after Chatzot Hayom, the middle of the day, and it had 4.5 hours to do the sacrifice. Now, on the day that they used to sacrifice the Korban Pesach, at the time of Beit HaMikdash, there were many other Korbanot that they used to do that time. It wasn't only Korban Pesach. They used to do Korbanot, sacrifice that was called Nedarim, and Nedavot, and Shlamim. There was a lot of other sacrifice going on at the time. But we want to kind of see what is the connection to this sacrifice to me. I mean, I don't have this sacrifice right now. Once I get the Beit HaMikdash, my problems will be solved anyway. So what is it got to do with me? I don't do the sacrifice. I do the Kiddush HaChodesh, but I don't do the mitzvah of Korban Pesach. B'ezrat Hashem, once we have already a Beit HaMikdash, then I'm not going to have issues. I'm not going to have problems once Mashiach is here. So these two mitzvot, specifically this mitzvot of Rosh Chodesh and Korban Pesach, these mitzvot are the foundation of emunah, of my belief in Hashem. I know it's very easy to say that I believe in Hashem, but the reality is most people don't really believe in Hashem. They believe it exists. But when it comes to a test of emunah, most people don't really believe in Hashem. I once gave an example that a person became observant. Person became a Baal Tshuva. And many people become Baal Tshuva. And if you are one of them, then you probably notice that in the first year or two, Kadosh Baruch Hu leaves you alone. Everything goes smooth. Everything is great. No issues, no challenges. You grow and you grow and you grow till you meet the first wall. So the story goes, and of course it's just a parable, just to emphasize the idea, is that there was one such individual became a Baal Tshuva. And they gave him a good 2 years, quiet, let him grow. After 2 years, they gathered the committee, the Baal Tshuva committee in Shamayim, and they were all sitting there, and they were saying, okay, listen, we gave him enough time, now we have to give him a challenge. Has to be a challenge. Okay, so one of the members of the committee raised their hand, how about we just send him a beautiful woman to tempt him? They're like, we do it to all of them. It's a common one. Let's give him something interesting. Okay, they came up with all these ideas, till one of them says, listen, he's a rookie, he's a new one, let's just give him a test with money. Everybody has to go to the test with money. Okay, all in favor, okay. The next day, this innocent poor guy loses $5. He puts a smile on his face. Baruch Hashem, Hakol letovah, everything is good. Hashem is amazing. Everything that Hashem does is for the good. Kaparat avonot, this is atonement for my sins. And he's dancing all the way home. Wow. Everybody in the heavenly committee, they're rising those notes, the 9.9, 9.8, 10. They're all cheering to him. He passed the test with flying colors. Okay, one of the members of the committee says, what, you're testing him with $5? Bump it up. Okay, so the next day he loses $50. Smile on his face, Baruch Hashem, Hakol letovah, everything is good, Hashem is amazing, Kaparat avonot, it's just amazing, he's dancing, he's happy, everybody's like, wow, look at how much emunah he has belief in Hashem, unbelievable. The same member of the committee says, come on guys, you're testing him with $50. Give him bump it up. The next day he loses $50,000.
Come on.
50,000. Suddenly nothing is letovah. Hashem is not so great. This is not kaparat avonot. This is not fair. I did tshuva. I don't deserve this. There's no God. I don't believe in God anymore. Suddenly the emunah went out of the window. Just a few more digits to the last. Suddenly there's no emunah. It went down to the toilet. So that's us. That you ask an average individual, you believe in God? Of course I believe in God. You believe in God till you get the first challenge that you can't handle. Suddenly, where's God? Where did he go? I don't see him anymore. This is not a Tovah. This is not for good. Our sages say everything that Hashem does, he does for the good. But this is not good for me. $50,000, that's not good for me right now. So you inflate the test, suddenly the level of emunah goes down. So we are called Ktanei Emunah. We are called that we have a little bit of emunah. When something is easy, it's easy for me to believe. When I'm pressed to the wall, when I'm single for 10 years, this is how much emunah I have already. I already tried everything. I already tried all the solution, and I can't find. So I'm losing my faith. Now the foundation of faith is hidden in these two mitzvot of Kiddush HaChodesh and Korban Pesach. This is where the faith lies down. This is the yesod, the foundation of this mitzvah. Now, we know, based on our sages, that Rosh Chodesh is a very auspicious time, and Latid Lavo, in the future, Rosh Chodesh will become higher level than festivals. Because the essence, the shoresh, the root of Rosh Chodesh is coming from a higher place than the three festivals. So Rosh Chodesh is a very unique time because Rosh Chodesh is the foundation of Emunah. And I have to kind of analyze in my life, where am I holding in regards to Emunah? Because Emunah is everything. If you believe in something, you'll do anything. You'll go through walls. Our sages, some of them were able to go through walls. Some of our sages were able to bring people back from the dead. There's stories in the Gemara and many other places what our sages were able to do, only because they had emunah. And the ones who have emunah, they can do anything they want. The reason why we don't do things, why we fail, is because we don't have emunah. Try to walk through the wall now. Most likely you're not going to be able to go through the wall. You know why? Because you believe that you're not going to be able to go through the wall. You actually believe that the wall exists. But if you have unbelievable faith and emunah, you walk through the wall with no problem. Just that we have a barrier in our emunah. And my failures in everything in my life is because I don't have faith. Now I need to know how to bring it back to the surface and how to be able to apply this emunah, because our entire faith, I don't like using the word religion, but our entire connection to Hashem is based on emunah. It's based on the fact that I believe in something that I don't see and I know it exists. Now, here comes another, we'll take a little detour because this is kind of what I want to more focus on. The mitzvah of Rosh Chodesh, of Kiddush HaChodesh, take the word Chodesh. Chodesh is a month. You translate the word Chodesh. But Chodesh is written Chet, Daled, and Shin, which you can read it also Chadash. Chadash is new. And Chadash signify renewity, hitchadshut, something that is new. Why we call it Chodesh? Why don't we call it any other word? Because every month, it renews itself. We go by a lunar cycle. We're not going by a sun cycle. Some nations, some faith, they go by the sun's cycle. The moon cycle is different. That's why our calendar is different from all the different nations, because it's very, very hard to calculate the lunar cycle. That's why our calendar, we have every 3 years a leap year, because if you're taking the lunar cycle, it's 11 days less than the sun cycle. So what happens is that after every 2-3 years, we're thrown back. So if Chas v'Shalom, we wouldn't have a leap year, Pesach would start becoming in the winter, and then it would go back and back. So our sages added that every 3 years we have a leap year with 13 months. But the cycle of the moon is a very unique cycle. But if you're looking at the moon, in the beginning of the month, you don't see anything, and slowly the moon adds up, and then disappears again, and constantly it renews itself. It disappears, appears. This is called hitchadshut, to be renewed. That's why the word chodesh that's why we call it chodesh, because it gets renewed all the time. Now, everything in this world gets renewed constantly. Even the creation of the world. A lot of people think that Kadosh Baruch Hu created the world and left. But that's not the reality. We say twice a day when we pray in the morning, "Uvetuvo mechadesh bechol yom tamid maaseh v'reshit." In His great kindness, He recreates the world every day. The Arizal says that every 3 seconds the entire world is being recreated. Every 3 seconds. The entire world gets recreated from zero to the state we see it. Even in our body. You know that every 7 years, our entire body is renewed. Thousands and millions and tens of thousands of cells in our body, every 7 years is a cycle, our body renews. This body is not the body that was 7 years ago. Somebody asked me not too long ago about tattoos, because we're not allowed to tattoo ourselves in Judaism. And somebody once asked me, what's the problem? Is it that bad? And I said, listen, first of all, if it says in the Torah we're not allowed to tattoo ourselves, that is bad. But I'll tell you what's the problem with the tattoos, is that the place where the body is tattooed, it doesn't get renewed. So the entire body gets renewed, and the cells where the tattoo is doesn't get renewed. So it stops the person from going to a higher level. Rabbeinu B'Chaye explains that if a person has reached to a certain level, then you can grow a step higher. So when the Torah comes and tells you to do something or not to do something, Torah knows what it's talking about. But nevertheless, the world is recreated constantly. This is called hitchadshut. And the Ari, like I said, the Ari is explaining that every 3 seconds, everything gets renewed. Just imagine that people think that the world was created once and Hashem left it. Just imagine of the system that Hashem constantly recreates the world. Now, us as humans, we have the complete opposite motion. In Hebrew, it's called hityashnut. In English, you would probably say things go old. Very few people know how to renew themselves constantly. Most things in this world, especially us, it grows older. and older, even our bodies. I don't know many people that they grow younger. Most people grow older. And everything in this world grows older. We would wish for things to become constantly younger. But we see that in our nature, there's the opposite of hitchadshut, the opposite of being renewed. Rather, hityashnut, everything is going older and older and older. Now, in order to get something renewed, I need a new energy. That's what happens to me when I go to sleep. Why do you think you go to sleep? Technically, you don't need to sleep. It's already proven that a human body can go 3 or 4 days without sleep with no problem whatsoever. But what makes you tired? You think you're tired because you worked hard today? Or that you didn't sleep well? Or that you carried, you're shopping? Why do you think you're getting tired? You're not getting tired because you're up. The only reason why you're getting tired is because your soul is tired. If your soul will not be tired, you will never get tired. That's why you see the great tzaddikim, they don't sleep. The Arizal never slept. He used to put his head down for a few seconds, up. That's it. Back to business. All the great tzaddikim never slept because what gives them the energy, the source of energy, is their neshama. The body is a very powerful body. It's proven that the body can just go and go and go and go. What gets tired is the soul. So comes 10 o'clock at night and you're tired, don't think you're tired because you worked hard. You're tired because your battery of the soul went down, like your phone. Now we're walking around all the time with the chargers and make sure the phone, chas v'shalom, should not go under that 80% mark. So it's just ridiculous how people you have now, they have batteries, people walking with batteries and wires everywhere. Everywhere you go, you have wires sticking out from walls. Even when I flew in here a few days ago, every terminal there's like wires sticking out from walls. And chas v'shalom, you have to go from one station to another station. But nevertheless, the reason why the phone shuts down, because it runs out of battery. Or like any other device. It runs out of battery, then you have to recharge it. Then our soul runs out of its battery very fast. That's why you're tired at night. It's because your soul, the energy of the soul went down, 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 down. Now what happens? If you're smart, you rejuvenate the energy of the soul when you go to sleep. So before you go to sleep, we pray, we say Kriyat Shema L'Amita, we do tshuva, we prepare our body, that if I do what I'm supposed to do, then at night my soul will go up to the generator, get connected, and from the 3% battery, suddenly I get fully charged, and I come back down. Now, some chargers, I don't know if you noticed, they do a quick charge, and you charge your phone within 5 minutes, and some chargers, it can take you 5 hours, it doesn't charge. Same thing here. Some people go to sleep, after 2 hours, they wake up, back to business. And some people, they sleep for 12 hours, and they wake up like as if like a truck hit them. So, and then again, I didn't sleep good. Why do you think you didn't sleep good? Because your soul was flying in the universe somewhere. Probably some angels were playing football with it. And that's what happens. Now if I know how to clean my soul at night, then at night my soul will go up, out of my body, go back to the spiritual generator, to its source, get plugged in, recharge, then I wake up in the morning. Kochot mechudashim, my powers are brand new. Most people, they wake up in the morning, it's renewed power. Where did you get that power from? Most people don't. Most people wake up, the alarm rings, with a fancy move. They go like this to the alarm, to the snooze, and then the other arm pulls the blanket this direction. And most people, they wake up in the morning with the energy is not so boosting. And that's only because the soul didn't get charged. If you know how to feed your soul, you will get charged. You'll wake up in the morning, after 2-3 hours, you'll be fully charged. So I generate energy, and I need to rejuvenate my soul when it's losing energy. The soul loses energy when I start sinning. If I sin, then it loses all the energy. It goes out of my system. There's a reason why the Torah is very particular about a group of mitzvot that I have to do, positive mitzvot, and there's a group of mitzvot of sins that I'm not allowed to do. It's negative mitzvot. The Torah is the most wisest guide that any human being can have. It's telling me what to do and what not to do. I will do what the Torah tells me, I'll be fine. Once I'm starting to open all my valves, then all the energy starts flowing out. And needless to say, that's when then I lose my energy. Now, like I said, the world has a concept of renewing itself, hitchadshut, but I have a deficiency that I'm losing that I have what's called hityashnut, it's becoming older. Now, we see the big difference between us as adults and young people. Take now a little child, and let's say, just for the sake of the example, he will fall and get hurt. Oh, a whole tantrum, screaming, crying, and all you need to do is pull up a lollipop. Suddenly, he forgot that he got hurt. And you see that sometimes with kids when they fight. They can fight, they want to kill each other. Then within 5 minutes, the peace, they forgot. They will go back to normal. This is called hitchadshut. This is called that right away, whatever it was, passed, and I renewed the situation. That's it, back to normal. With adults, if they fight, 50 years it takes them to make peace. Because one little fight. You see, that's why the difference between adults and kids. Kids are actually coming to show to me how I'm supposed to be. I take things so personal and so deep that it takes me weeks and years to get over things. And that's only because the emotion that is applied is this hityashnut, going older than becoming new. Very few people, they really know how to rejuvenate their energy, how to renew their energy, how to completely ignore what passed and then to renew a new energy. If you know how to do it, then your life is constantly in growth. Instead of going backwards, then you constantly go forward. Now, basically saying in other words that I constantly need to restart the engine. And this is, again, giving the example of going to sleep. Every day I have to go to sleep. I don't know many people that say, you know what, I think today I'm going to skip my sleep, and let me just stay up tonight. Most people, they can't wait for the moment that they're going to sleep because they need their powers rejuvenated. But certain things that I'm not willing to give over. And one of them is my sleep. But I need to know that my motion in life is constantly to renew itself. Constantly I have to bring myself to a point of starting again. This is called להתחיל מההתחלה. Okay, I finished something, now let me start again. Most people, when they meet the situation that I have to start again, again, another challenge, again I have to do it. But that's the motion of life. Every day you start all over again. You wake up in the morning, you need to start all over again. Really, when you're thinking about it, many people, when they wake up in the morning, they don't have energy. They don't want to feel like dealing with their life. Again, I have to wake up. Again, I have to wash my mouth and face and go to the mikveh and go to pray and again pray shacharit. Again, go to the same lousy job that I can't stand. But if you notice, every day we have this renewity. Now, how do you really get the power, the energy to start all over? We all face in our life situations that something happened and I have to pick up the pieces and move on. A relationship finished after 10, 20, 30 years, I have to start all over again. I lost my business, I have to restart the business right now. Whatever it is, we constantly meet situations that I'm back to square one. Now how do you start again? We have, Baruch Hashem, we have such a zchut that we have a seminary for older ladies. I don't like using the word older, then I get in trouble when I go back home. We call them the more mature ladies. So we have a young student, she's 78 years old, and then we have like real young students and they're like 60. But we have a very special institute for mature ladies that they want to learn Torah. We do have some young ones in their 40s. But now we have the exact same thing for men. We have a yeshiva for men, and Baruch Hashem, we have an 84-year-old student. Can you imagine an 84-year-old man coming in the morning, praying, learning? Unbelievable to see it. And then we have some young ones in their 60s and their 50s. But it's very unique because there's an older man or an older woman that wants to learn Torah and grow spiritually. They don't know really where to go. So Baruch Hashem, we have an unbelievable zchut to cater to this group of people. But you see stories of men and women that they just became widowed, they whatever it is, and they start all over. There's one guy who's learning by us. He's 64 years old. And he tells me, I'm starting everything from beginning. He lost his wife, his kids don't really talk to him, whatever was going on there. But he's like, I have to start everything all over again. And you would think that somebody, when they're 64, will want to just sit and relax all day long. And here life is thrown into his face a challenge. Yeah, you have to start everything all over. And I keep telling him, you can live another 20 years like that. What's 64? You can easily live another 20 years. That's if Chas v'Shalom Mashiach is not going to come anytime soon. Mashiach comes tomorrow, you're going to live forever. But let's say hypothetically, 64? What's 64? It's nothing. You have easily another 20 years to go. And you see a strong individual that needs to start all over again. So we constantly find ourselves with situations that we still have to start all over again. And it can be on a daily basis, can be on a monthly basis, can be once in my lifetime, but there's constantly the idea that I have to start all over. Now, how do you really do it? This month that we're about to start next week, the month of Nisan, is the month of Hitchadshut, the month that everything renews itself. Even physically, go out in the month of Nisan, suddenly the tree is starting to bloom, the flowers are coming out. It's unbelievable. Next week, I can guarantee to you, snow, not snow, everything starts blooming, everything starts growing. It's the month of growth and the month of renewity. Now, how do I really reach to the point that I can rejuvenate and have this rebirth? There's many different ways, but one of the most important ones is called prayer. And this is the thing that most people dread. Sometimes you stand on the street, you tell an individual, hey, you want to come up and lashlim minyan? We're only 9. We need one more guy. No. I prayed at home. Yeah, really? When did you pray at home? 2 years ago. So you tell people to come to the minyan? No. Tell people to pray? So I don't even know why people don't like praying. It's a break from your life. Most people, you tell them to come and pray, it's like if you told them to go, I don't know what, and give their kidneys to somebody. And really, prayer is the essence of our existence. This is one of the pillars of our faith. Our entire faith is standing on 3 pillars, and one of them is prayer. It's a big thing in our faith. In other religions too, but we're concentrating right now on our faith. Look how much our faith is based and going around prayers. Every day we pray 3 times. We pray more like 5 times. If you include in Kriyat Shema L'Amita and at least one saying Birkat Hamazon, that's 5 prayers. I'm not talking right now saying a bracha. That's a bracha, a blessing. I'm talking about praying. Our entire Shabbat is around prayers. It comes now, we'll have a holiday, Pesach, it's around prayers. Everything is around prayers. And prayer is the generator of renewity. If I don't pray, that's when I'm going backwards, constantly going backwards. That's why our sages have added to our schedule to pray. Look at our forefathers, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. They didn't have a siddur. They would pray every day. The praying is, for me, the moment that I get connected to my, so to say, my spiritual generator to start generating energy. And if I miss that, then I don't generate new energy. That's one of the many reasons why our prayer are repetitive. When I became observant, I'm sure most of you, if not all of you, already heard my personal story. And after I became after I came back to life, and I called my friend asking him how do I become observant, then one of the first things he told me is that I have to pray. And I was like, okay. When do we pray? On Rosh Hashanah? He told me, no, every day. Every day? He says, yeah, 3 times. 3? 1 is not enough. So that came to me as a shock. 3 times a day? They have to read the same text? Well, they can't come with new books. Can't be like some colorful prayers here. Like every day is the same thing. Took me years for the idea to resonate that I have to say the same text every day. Why couldn't our sages make it a little bit more interesting, like stories? And every time I will be, shocked and surprised every day. That there's a reason why it repeats itself. Because the idea of the prayer is to generate the energy of renewity. So one of the most powerful things is prayer. And if you don't pray, then you're missing a very big part in rejuvenating your energy. And that's why most people have such a Yetzer Hara with praying, because they don't want to pray. The Yetzer Hara doesn't want you to renew your energy. He wants you to go backwards. He wants you to get away from your source. So if you have to take something at least from tonight, then you have to understand how important prayers are. And you know what? Yes, so you start by doing it without really feeling it. And you start by doing even if you don't understand so much, or without being excited. Trust me, most people don't get excited when they pray. Very few people, they really get into it and they get excited. Most people don't. Well, this is one thing. The next thing is that, like what I was talking about, is that we have to have emunah. We don't have much emunah. Emunah is faith and belief in Hashem. Most people, when it comes to a little challenge, they lose their emunah. And the Kadosh Baruch Hu on purpose puts me through challenges to test my emunah, to test my belief. He wants to see how much I do believe. And I have to build my emunah. Now the thing is that when I fail, then my emunah goes with it. And the Kadosh Baruch Hu makes sure that I fail a lot. Why? So I will be tested now if I still have my emunah. And the reality is that, I can't say in ratio, but in the majority of things that we do, we will fail. And that's predestined already. It has nothing to do with me. If I'm going to fail or be successful, that only depends on Hashem. I'm required to put effort. I'm required to do my part. And if Hashem wants me to be successful, I'll be successful. If Hashem wants me to fail, I will fail. The point is to see how much effort I put, and if I fall back when I fail. Because usually when I fail, that's when I go 2 steps back. That's when I start not believing in myself. That's when I don't believe in whatever I do, or in other people. But it's all a game. And the thing is that I really don't have control on the results. I don't have control on the result of what I do. And specifically we see now, right before Mashiach is coming, whether you believe it or not, whether you are aware or not, Mashiach is coming very, very soon. So because Mashiach is coming very soon, most of our efforts fail. You know how many startups are trying to start every day? Probably thousands and thousands. You know how many businesses people are trying to start, relationships, whatever. You see, if you're looking in a very global way, and even in your personal life, how many things you try to do, and how many of them in ratio were successful. Probably most of the stuff that you tried failed. And it doesn't mean you are a failure. It just means that that's the journey. That's what Hashem wants you to go through. He wants you to go through the failure to see how it affects you. To see if you get up and you brush off the dirt and you move on, or not. And this is just one big test. Now comes the mitzvah of Korban Pesach, and this is the foundation of emunah, of belief. Because if you really look at the actual sacrifice, how they did it the first time, if you remember, I told you, on the first day of Nisan they were commanded to do it. On the 10th day of Nisan, they had to tie it to the bed for 4 days. Why have to tie it to the bed? Well, what's the point behind it? The point was that the sheep in Mitzrayim, they were their idols. For the Egyptians, sheep were idols. Now they come and they take their idols and they tie it to the bed. Now just imagine, the Egyptians are coming and saying, what are you doing with my little god? Oh, we're gonna slaughter it in 4 days. Excuse me? You're gonna do what? We're gonna slaughter it in 4 days and then we're gonna eat it. Just imagine what was going on in Mitzrayim. Can you imagine the Egyptians looking at their gods tied to beds? Can you imagine what a test it was for the Jews, for Bnei Israel, that the commandment is tie their gods of the Egyptians to a bed for 4 days? So they had to overpower their fear. And this is what it goes back to what I started the lecture, that we all have fears. And this Korban Pesach, the sacrifice of Pesach, is the foundation. I know it sounds like a ritual and some kind of like a barbaric ritual. All the Korbanot, all the sacrifices, they don't sound so holy, by the way. If you really, now we're starting the book of Vayikra. This is the book of Korbanot. Now we're going to start going through all the details of a Korbanot. Nothing sounds holy there, by the way. I don't know if you went through all the rules. It's slaughtering animals. and taking blood and splashing in different places, taking body parts, and it doesn't sound holy at all. So if somebody comes from the outside and says, this is a holy ritual, the sacrifice of Pesach is literally the foundation of me overpowering my fear. And like I started the lecture, we all have fears, and we have a lot of fears, and we don't know how to fight our fears. And some people, the fear is so bad that they get anxieties, they get panic attacks, they can't fall asleep, they have nightmares. It becomes a challenge, they don't even know how to deal with it. The Korban Pesach is the so to say the foundation of overpowering my fear. Why do I have fear? There's only one reason why I have fear. It's disbelief. I don't believe. Choser emunah. If I'm afraid of something, it's because I don't believe in Hashem. And like I said, it's very easy to say, I believe there's a God. Okay, that's very easy to say, I believe there's a God. Now let's see how much you believe in Him when you are hanging by a thread, when there's a sword here. And let's see how much you believe in Hashem. So, and chas v'shalom, I'm not putting anybody on the spot, I'm definitely not pointing fingers. I'm just enlightening us so we can get some tools how to deal with my life. Because we all face this challenge. You know, not too long ago, somebody that I know was diagnosed, Hashem Erechem, with a disease, the disease that nobody wants to hear about. And right away, can you imagine what a smack to the face? Am I going to survive? Am I not going to survive? What's going to happen with me? What's going to happen with my wife? What's going to happen with my kids? What's going to happen? He's walking around all day long with fear. And I keep telling him, have emunah. He's like, well, it's easy for you to say. I said, no, I know it's easy to say, but what's your option? The option is to stay in fear? Well, what good would it do? So again, I know it's easier said than done, but the fact is that we all have this challenge of fear. And the only way to overpower the fear is to rise my emunah. If I have fear, it's only because I don't have emunah. I don't have belief. Now, the reason why they tied the sheep to the bed is because everything in the world has a minister in Shamayim that is in charge of it. And when they tied the sheep to the bed, they overpowered the minister of Mitzrayim in Shamayim. The essence, the root, everything has a root in the world above. I mean, we call it a sar, a minister that is controlling from above. By the fact that they were able to tie the sheep, they overpowered their fear. They were afraid of the Egyptians. Can you imagine how scared they must be to do that? And they know that the Egyptians can come into their house any second and kill them. But the fact that they overpowered the fear, they were able to subdue the minister of Mitzrayim in Shamayim. That made a big difference. Now, how do I overpower my fear? We're all facing fear. But how? Now, whatever challenge I have, it's very easy. To talk, it's easy. But now I have fear. How do I overpower my fear? Now, the way to do it, it sounds much easier than any other solution. But believe it or not, to overpower my fear is when I really look at myself and I do a self-assessment. I make an analogy of my behavior. Most people, they don't do that. We call it in Hebrew, cheshbon nefesh. That I look into myself and I'm making an evaluation. Technically, you have to do it every hour. But we'll give you a discount. Do it once a day. Once a day, before you go to sleep, when you say Kriyat Shema L'Mitah, sit on your bed, sit on your couch, and make an evaluation. How was your day? How did I behave? Was I a good father? Can I do a check? Was I a good husband? A good wife? I can't say I was a good wife, but was I a good husband? Was I a good father? Was I a good Jew? Did I behave today the right way? When somebody said something, was my reaction the right way? This is called cheshbon nefesh, that I have to go through my entire day and make an account. How am I behaving? Now, if I don't do that, I will never refine myself. Person that wants to grow spiritually and emotionally and mentally and physically, you have to make an account. You have a business. How do you grow your business? You have an accountant. And the accountant comes and tells you, you spending too much money here, maybe cut the budget over here, spend some money over here. That's why you pay an accountant a lot of money to make your taxes, to make your calculations. You have to be a spiritual accountant. To come at the end of the day, the students of the Baal Shem Tov and many other Hasidim, they used to have like a notebook and they would write all day long what they do. So comes the end of the day, they can look and have some type of an account of what they did the entire day. We have to do it too. If I'm not going to do it, I will never grow. Now, when I really observe my own behavior, believe it or not, that's what moves fear. Why? Because I check my midot, my attributes. I have good midot and I have bad midot, good attributes, bad attributes, character traits. And when I focus on what I do, then I know how to eliminate the bad and empower the good. And when I constantly put myself under a test, this removes fear from me. Now, more than that, of course, if Chas v'Shalom I have fear to something, our sages tell us, pray to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Don't pray to the Kadosh Baruch Hu to make you win the lottery. I saw now the lottery is like $300 million, right? Maybe you should play the lottery. But nevertheless, most people pray to win the lottery. Pray to Hashem, remove this fear from me, remove my doubts from me. And yes, try it. Put it to the test, because praying it works. You have to pray to the Kadosh Baruch Hu. Bechlal, our sages tell us that if you have fear, is increase in joy. Make yourself happy. Dance, laugh, clap, jump, whatever it is. When you increase in simcha, then you remove the fear. But really, the fear is coming, the main source of fear is from sins. That's why when I make an assessment, an analogy of my behavior, is in order for me to start observing where I'm failing, so I can overpower that. That's why when I make this cheshbon nefesh, this self-assessment, then it will remove fear. Because I will be able to say, you know what, in that situation I wasn't fair, let me go and apologize. And when I walked into the house and I just screamed at my wife because I had a bad day, she's fine there, I'm wrong, let me go and apologize. When you really look into yourself, what you're doing and how you're behaving, the result is that you become a much better person. So you sin much less. You have to be honest, you have to be humble and say, was I really doing what I was supposed to do today? When you do that, that's how you slowly push away the fear. Because fear really comes from when I have sins. If I have a sin, that's what brings fear into my system. Now, one more thing, since we're talking about Mitzrayim and Yetziat Mitzrayim, because even though we read that a month ago, but in the story of Mitzrayim, we're going through the entire process. There's a very unique part that happened in Yetziat Mitzrayim that most people skip over it, but even when you look at it, it's not so clear why the Torah says that. It says that when they left Mitzrayim, the dogs didn't bark. Lo yecharatz kelev leshono. That's what you're telling me? You're telling me that the dogs didn't bark? Tell me something more special here. Why are you telling me dogs didn't bark? So there's many explanations specifically why it's talking about the dogs, but one explanation is that there was a certain klipa at the time of Mitzrayim, that the klipa, the spiritual husk, was called kelev. And kelev, is the definition of kelev is kulo lev, that the entire dog is just heart. This is representing our weakness to physicality. We have this klipa. Klipa is a negative energy that is controlling me and is created by me. I'm the one that creates it. And this specific klipa, there's many types of klipot. This specific klipa is being fed from too much physicality. When I enjoy too much of the physical world, then I feed this klipa. And what happens is that I'm sunk more and more and more into the physical world. The more I feed it, the more it will go against me. And this specific klipa is the fact that they had too much gashmiut. This is what we have right now, in our generation. 100 years ago, they didn't have that problem. We are so spoiled in our generation that if chas v'shalom, something is not 100% how I want to, I won't be able to function. We are beyond spoiled already. Our beds are soft. and we have clean sheets. You know what it is once to have clean clothes? Once a month they would wash them. Now we just throw them in the washing machine, tick one button, half an hour later I have clean clothes. So we got very, very spoiled in our life. You know, Kadosh Baruch Hu, it's so amazing because I constantly try to observe in everything that I do how Hashem is trying to assist me in my spiritual growth. And I'm also guilty in this having pleasure of things in this world. And just to give you an example, before I came now on this trip, then I reserved a car. And, you know, I knew there's going to be a lot of snow, and not only that, I have a lot of boxes for carrying all the CDs and the books and stuff, and I always rent like a nice car. Besides, I'm already, you know, that's what I always tell my wife. Before I became observant, then everybody has, things that they really like. So I have, unfortunately, Yetzer Hara, big Yetzer Hara with cars. I loved fancy cars. That was my thing. My wife always used to joke that I would go with her in the street. She was like, you know what I like about you? Men, when they go in the street and they see a pretty woman, they look at her. She's like, you look at cars. She's like, I don't care. I'm happy with walking you in the streets. You know, other men, they turn around to look at the pretty lady. You see a car, you're like drooling, like look at those wheels. She was like, okay, look at the car. It's okay, you can look at cars. So I told my wife not too long ago, she was like, I was complaining that I don't like these trips. I don't like going all these tours. She was like, why don't you like it? You know, you fly, you're by yourself, you don't have to deal with the kids, you get hosted in different places. And I told her, I don't like it. I just don't like it. I don't sleep in my own bed, and I do miss my kids, and I do miss my wife, and I miss my life. So she was like, there must be at least one thing that you like in these trips. So I told her, yeah, I rent a nice car. So I told her, yeah, I get to rent a nice car. In Israel, you know, the cars in Israel, they're by default, they're small and small and messed up cars. So I told her, yeah, so I spoil myself and I rent a nice car. Okay, Hashem has very, very funny sense of humor. So I reserved now a car. And when I came out, I don't know, if I landed on Wednesday. This is another funny thing. I booked the flight, everything was very last minute. 2 days before the flight, one of my students calls me and tells me, did you see that there's a blizzard coming to New York? And I tell them, well, I wasn't expecting anything else. Wherever I go, has to be some type of a natural disaster. I mean, it has to be, I don't know, some nuclear bombing, earthquake, tsunami. It can't be that I'm going to go somewhere and everything will be smooth. So every trip that I have, last trip, I got stuck in the hurricane in Miami. From all places, I'm stuck in the middle of a grade 4, 5, a category 5 hurricane, and I'm in the middle. So he tells me there's going to be a storm in New York. I said, listen, I'm not expecting anything else. I wasn't thinking I'm going to have good weather. The joke was that before we took off, I got like 500 text messages. Are you sure you're coming? Because all the flights are canceled. And I went to the desk, the El Al desk. I told them, is this flight still going? Yeah, we're going. You know, the Israelis are like, we're going. Don't worry, even if the sheds and nuclear bombs on us, we're still flying. So, and we're getting closer to New York, and there was so much clouds. You know, the plane was taking, landing for like half an hour with like clouds and clouds and clouds and clouds. 1,500 flights were canceled. The only ones who are landing are the Israelis. I can just imagine the tower from JFK calling the cockpit in El Al. By the way, we need you to turn the plane around because there's too much snow. The Israelis are like, let me call our boss. We can't do anything without consulting with the boss. They call the boss. You're landing. We're not paying overnights to 400 people to go to a hotel. You land on the snow. So I rather pray for dead people than to pray for overnight putting 400 people in a hotel. Flights are getting redirected to Canada, to Baltimore. The Israelis are like, no. They're landing. So sure enough, we landed. I didn't even know how they do that. Well, lucky the Israeli pilots are ex-jet fighters, so they land on the snow with. So 1,500 flights were landing, were canceled. One flight is I never saw anything like that. JFK was empty. It was like a ghost town. It was the first time in history that I went through immigration within 3 minutes. So So I'm landing in New York, it's like a pile of snow, and I come to the car rental, and then they tell me, I don't know, you gave me some lame excuse, and they don't have the car, and they give me some dinky car. And I'm like, what? I came all the way to New York, through a snowstorm, and you're not giving me the car that I want? And in the beginning, I got upset. How dare they not give me the car that I want? And I was like, with Hashem. Hashem is so amazing, so sweet, that even in something so small, he's like, you want a nice car? No. I'm going to give you not a nice car. You don't need to get used to physical, something physical. Why do you need to enjoy a nice car? Drive a regular car. So Hashem is so kind to us that when you really make an effort to change, then Hashem helps you. Because that's where I see that Hashem intervenes. Because if not, He would let me rent a nice car. Because usually what happens, that I land and I rent a car, they tell me, by the way, if you want, you can add $20, we'll give you the super extra large, most fanciest car we have on the lot. That's usually what happens. So, and they trick me. And every time I rent like a small car, and they tell me, by the way, we just got a cancellation, you can rent the fancy one, only $12 more. And I fall for that, and I rent a nice car, because I like cars. So, this time Hashem says, no, I'm not going to let you be spoiled with a nice car. I'm going to give you a regular car. You don't have to enjoy so much this world. The car needs to take you from point A to point B. It doesn't have to be so nice. Basically saying, in other words, you don't have to enjoy so much the world. The more we enjoy the world, the more we feed my body with this pleasure of this world, then I get, more sinking in, more sinking in, more sinking in. I'm not benefiting from my spiritual work. Basically saying, in other words, that when they left Mitzrayim, they had to be so disconnected from physicality. That's the only way to spiritually grow. If I'm too much involved with the physicality, this is another way of calling it habits. We have so many habits. If I want to grow spiritually, I have to break all my habits. I have to go out of my limitation. So comes this beautiful holiday, and I'm asking myself, what is this holiday? About eating matzahs? About being on a diet for a whole week? The holiday is a turning point where I can renew everything. Where I can come and say, you know what? I'm not 100% happy with my life right now. It's in a dead end. Something needs to change here. Hashem says, okay, here's the opportunity to change. Here's the opportunity to start something new. To start fresh. You just need to have a lot of faith. You have to have faith that Hashem will allow you to change. And you have to follow all the little details that I said and apply that. Because really at the end of the day, what's the most important thing to us is I just want to be happy. At the end of the day, I just want to be happy. When somebody has a very tight rope here, and unfortunately we all experience that at some point in my life, Hashem tightens the rope. That you're like, we all have that. And at this point you're saying, I'll give everything away. I just want to be left alone. I just want to be quiet. I just want to be happy. I just want to go to sleep without any problems. I don't want phone calls. I don't want letters coming and all these, the last notice. Those letters? Last notice. What do you mean last notice? What, are you going to shoot me now? So the point is that ultimately we're looking for happiness. And ultimately we're here to grow. To reach this level of renewity. I want things to be renewed. I want to stand in the same spot. Comes this once in a year opportunity that I can tap into it. That I have to start applying it. First of all, I have to increase in my prayers. Because that's the foundation. I have to start building my emunah. I have to really look into myself and start observing my behavior. I can't, expect too much growth here and leave myself in the same spiritual level. It will never happen. I need to look in myself and make an evaluation and be honest and humble and say, who am I kidding? I'm failing here, I'm failing here, and I'm failing here. And mainly, it has to be do with my midot, with my attributes, with my character traits. I have to really observe in my own behavior and say, I need to refine myself. And we all have bad character traits that many people say, no, that's me. You can't change me. That's not true. It's not about being changed, it's about being refined. And we all have bad character traits. We just have to be humble enough to recognize it and to be mature and say, who am I kidding? I have an issue with patience. I'm impatient. I have an issue with judging people. I have an issue with anger. I have an issue with whatever it is. I'm lazy. Very few people are able to say that. Most people, they wake up in the morning, they look in the mirror, they take a glance. Whew, wow. Hashem outdid himself here. This is a masterpiece. And you walk. Most people, they look in the mirror, they're like, okay, this is God's gift to the world. I mean, if you want to see what's perfection, put this picture and, in the dictionary next to perfection, this is it. Very few people looking in the mirror and saying, who am I kidding? I lie, I cheat, I judge, I slander, I do so many things. I have to know how to look in myself and say, listen, I'm not that great. I need to know where to refine myself. When I really look inside myself and I start working on myself, and needless to say, if I start working on myself, then I sin much less, then I start removing all this doubt and disbelief and fear from my life. You shouldn't live in any other way but happiness and secure in the Kadosh Baruch Hu and have bitachon, have secure in Hashem. Why should anybody live in fear? And why should everybody live in uncertainty and be in a state of sadness? This is not what Hashem is intending to us. But Hashem says, listen, it depends on you. You have to do something here. You have to take your life to the next step. I can't do it for you. You have to do it. And I have to understand that I want to grow to the next level. Now I have an opportunity. I have now a week to digest everything that I said. So the video will go online probably tonight or tomorrow. Maybe the next day. Go and look at it another 3-4 times. Write down your notes. And start saying, okay, comes Rosh Chodesh Nisan, next Shabbat. What am I doing to change in my life? What am I doing in my life that I should grow and grow and grow? That, you know what, 2 weeks later comes Leil Seder. This is my jackpot. This is my spiritual Black Friday. That I can tap into this godly light. All I need to do is follow the Leil Seder. That's what you need to do. I mean, when we clean all the chametz, when we clean our house, yes, we have to clean the leaven from our house. We can't own or see or eat chametz. But the majority of the cleaning is more spiritual. And I have to clean the chametz from within me. My chametz is my ego. And when I know how to lower my ego, then I will see my own faults. When I see my own faults, I know how to correct them. I know how to correct them. I'll start closing all these holes that all this junk is coming in. Needless to say, I'll start becoming a little bit more happier. I have a little bit more security in the Kadosh Baruch Hu, and I slowly grow. It all boils down to how much I'm lowering myself. But if I follow everything one step after the other, comes the Leil Seder, all I need to do is follow the Leil Seder. There's a lot of mystical reasons behind everything that we do. This is not a ritual to make you bored. And I tap into this unbelievable energy that takes me the entire year, will sustain in me this energy. It's called Hitchadshut. Just remember the name. Renew it is. Being renewed. We constantly need that. I need to be able to, when I finish my day, summarize my day. That's why we say Kriyat Shema L'Amidah. I mean, there's many reasons why we do that. But it's to summarize the day. So I can make a quick summary of the day. And then it doesn't mean that that day had to be a perfect day. But as long as I'm aware, as long as I'm looking at my list and I'm saying, you know what, my day was not that great. I told you that, well, not necessarily you, but I told it so many times that, you know, when I became observant, my agenda was not to look like this. I didn't put a yarmulke on or tzitzit. It took me 3 years to look like this. My process of becoming observant had nothing to do with my wardrobe. To a point even that when I went to one of the yeshivas when I attended, they told me I have to be dressed like everybody. And I said, no, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do that. My tshuva is not a suit. And my tshuva is not a hat. My tshuva is to refine myself from the inside. And if you want just a bunch of suits here, so this yeshiva is not for me. I want to really work on myself from inside. I don't want to kid myself standing in front of the mirror and seeing a hat and a suit and a beard and then I'm going to think that I did tshuva. I'm far away from doing tshuva. So my focus when I became observant was not on my external part. It was only the internal part. to start getting rid of all the junk. And I very quickly recognized all the bad character traits that I had. I had an issue with anger, I had an issue with patience, I had an issue with being judgmental, I had an issue with arrogance. I had a long list of issues. But I had one good character trait that overpowered all of them, that I had a little bit of common sense to see my faults and to say, okay, now let me start working on it. And one of the things that bothered me the most, I used to lie all the time. Like most people, all liars, by the way, in case you didn't notice. But I used to lie in business and relationships. Everything was lying. And I couldn't stand it. I got to a point that I disgusted myself. How can you live like this? So after many years, I decided, okay, I'm stopping. That's it. I had enough. I don't want to do this anymore. Came Yom Kippur. I took the opportunity to make a decision. I came home after Yom Kippur. My wife and me are sitting having a cup of tea. I'm asking her, no, you have a resolution? I mean, we don't use the word resolution. We use the word hachlata, decision. Yeah, she's like, I decided to do this. I decided to do that. She tells me, what's your hachlata? What's your decision? I told her, I decided to stop lying. I mean, you? You don't lie. I mean, I look already like this. This is like 6, 7 years ago. She was like, you don't lie. I told her, oh, well, I lie. She was like, really, you lie? I said, well, I lie to you. She was like, really? I told her, and more than that, I lie to many other people. And worse than that, I lie to Hashem. And worst of all that, I lie to myself. All the time. And I decided to put a stop to this disease. And I went and bought a little notebook. It cost me 99 cents. And every time that I lied, I wrote the lie and the hour of the day. And when came Kriyat Shema L'Amita and I would sit and read my prayer, I would open this notebook and see a page full of lies and nonsense. Not that I tricked somebody out of their $1 million fortune. Nonsense. We don't even notice how much lies are coming out of our mouth all day long. How many times somebody calls you and you're on your way to an appointment and they tell you, when are you there? You're looking at the GPS. The GPS shows you 20 minutes. I'm there in 5 minutes. No, you're not. You're there in 20 minutes. Why did you say they're in 5? Well, you think the person will somehow go into some type of amnesia and he will forget that 20 minutes ago you said 5 minutes? What do you think? People are stupid? Just say, I left late. I'm going to be there in 20 minutes. Sometimes, people call you, where are you? I'm at the mall. You're not. So I noticed how much junk is coming out of my mouth. How do you spiritually grow when you're stuck in some habit? And it doesn't mean you're a bad person. Don't think for 1 second I'm telling you you're bad. I'm just telling you we just get stuck on these bad habits. But the system was that I used to make a list and I would look at it. I would make an account. And you know what? I would say, okay, I have now here 40 lies. Tomorrow, let's try to do it 38. And the next day will be 36. And the next day will be 34. And when you start working on yourself, you're refining yourself. When you are aware of the situation, 90% of the tshuva is already done. If you're in denial, how are you going to refine yourself? How are you going to grow? And it's like a loop, it's a dead end. Why do you think people are depressed and sad and anxiety and fears? They dig their own hole. They're standing in their own hole that they dug. So the point is I'm not here pointing fingers to chas v'shalom try to put somebody down. It's the complete opposite. It's to bring awareness and how to get out of this situation. In order to conclude, it all depends how you're going out of this door tonight. If you came in and you're going out the same way, that you kind of wasted your time. And you don't want to waste your time. You made the effort. You already came here. And it doesn't mean that getting results comes easy. Everything that is hard work is what gives you results. Nothing comes easy in this world. People are always looking for the easy way out. Easy is not going to get you nothing. You have to apply the change. And the point is that you want to walk out of this door and say, okay, what am I applying from tonight to make sure that my life gets a much better life? Because we all deserve to be happy. We want to have emunah. We want to be secured. We don't want to have worries. I told you already, I must look like a wall that everybody comes and tells me their problems, which I don't mind. You can come and tell me all your problems. And if I have a good advice for you or bracha, I will gladly give it to you. But the point is that I'm saying is that everybody, it's so sad to see that everybody is going through so much challenges and so much hardship, so much sadness and so much bad things, and shouldn't be like that. Shouldn't be like that. Even if I'm not saying that now you're going to make hocus pocus and your life is going to be amazing. There's a reason why we're all pressed into a wall, because Hashem wants to get the best of us right now before Mashiach comes. But the point is that I need to apply something. When something goes wrong in my life, it's because Hashem wants my attention. And if Hashem doesn't have my attention, He'll get my attention one way or another. So when I'm going through a challenge, it's because Hashem says, I need your attention. You're not giving me enough attention. You're not showing up 3 times a day to shul. You're not coming to learn Torah. You're not doing the mitzvot enough. You're not letting yourself, you're not working on yourself. So Hashem will get your attention one way or another. If you give Hashem the right attention, you'll see things will start flowing much better. So we want to take advantage of this opportunity. You have 1 week to mentally, emotionally, physically prepare. And you want to make sure that you're doing your preparation right. Comes this Shabbat is Rosh Chodesh Nisan, and you have 2 weeks to get yourself ready before Pesach. And this is the opportunity to grab this power. This power that anything that I do will have the power of hitchadshut, or to renew everything. That you can wake up in the morning with a good mood. Most people wake up in the morning, they don't have a good mood. Most people wake up in the morning, one eye just opened, they're already thinking of all the problems they have to deal with this day, and the other eye doesn't want to open. And that's the reality. Very few people are getting up, okay, let me tear the world apart. Most people, they just open up their eyes, they're like, oh, again. So we don't want to live like this. There's nothing wrong with challenges. Then don't think that the challenges will ever stop. Challenges you'll have till the last day of your life. Challenges are the power of growth. If you go now to a gym and you'll get the best gym ever, pay the best money you can for the best gym, but you come and sit there on the bench like this, nothing will happen. You need to push, you need resistance. And the challenges are resistance. I just need to have the power to battle the challenge. And to do it with a smile on my face and to say, okay, Baruch Hashem, the challenge is good, nothing wrong with the challenge. And all this is coming from one specific day of Pesach. And our sages say the preparation to the mitzvah sometimes is more important than the mitzvah itself. So we got to make sure that we're preparing. And you have the opportunity to apply it or not. And B'ezrat Hashem, you apply it, then we can meet after Pesach, and maybe I'll get some positive emails of people telling me, okay, life is not that bad after all. So B'ezrat Hashem, all that's left is to wish you to have a great success in everything that you do, and that you should apply everything that we talked about into your life so you can benefit from it, that you can grow spiritually, and that Hashem should bless you and Bechlal, the entire Am Yisrael, that we should merit to go out of our own Mitzrayim, to go out of our own exile, to go out of our own limitations, to a life of fulfillment and joy and happiness and success and health, and everything that we wish for ourselves should come easy, should come in happiness and besimcha. It says the only way to go out of exile is besimcha, ki besimcha tetzeu v'shalom tuvalun. You have to bring simcha into my life. And the simcha is only going to come when my neshama is happy. And neshama is happy is when it does what it's supposed to do. B'ezrat Hashem, we should all merit to go out of our own Mitzrayim, to go out of our own limitation, to reach the level of happiness and success that we wish for. And B'ezrat Hashem should have a kosher and happy Pesach. And B'ezrat Hashem should meet you all in Eretz Yisrael very soon.